now I'm getting nervous and I'm standing there at the ring, like on a knee. And she's like, "Oh my God, can I ask you something?" And I was like, "Yeah, I feel like you should say yes first, just because there's people watching and I don't want it to feel." And she was like, "Oh my God."
I'm a hot mess. That was great. We should make that the new intro.
Oh my gosh, Alberto Rosende, welcome to Pardon My Success.
No, thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
I am just absolutely flabbergasted that you agreed to come on. You are so wonderful and such an icon, and I just really appreciate you. So, welcome to Pardon My Success. This is a creative arts podcast all about the process and the arts and artistic things. But to start us off, like, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from and what you do in your spare time? And then I have some like hot seat kind of questions to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, cool. Well, first, my name's Alberto Rosende. I grew up in South Florida, in like Fort Lauderdale. Went to high school down there, graduated. Then I went to New York for college, NYU, where I studied in the Meisner studio.
Oh my God. My brother went to NYU, and his wife also went to NYU, and I almost went to NYU, but I was terrified I was going to get kidnapped and murdered the moment I stepped foot in New York City.
Oh, you should have gone. Nothing like that happened. This is great.
You're like, I'm alive. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I had a great
that's
experience.
Amazing.
Yeah,
oh
it was
gosh.
really fun.
And so
and then,
NYU, were you in Tisch?
Yeah, I was in Tisch, and I studied in the Meisner, like the acting Meisner studio.
That's
which
amazing.
Is like the method that I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, I graduated and immediately started working on Shadowhunters in Toronto. So I moved to Toronto for 3 years. That's where I met my wife. And then we both moved to Los Angeles. And then I was in LA for like a year and a half. And then I booked Chicago Fire. So then I moved to Chicago for 4 years.
Oh my God.
And now I'm finally back in LA. It's been like almost a year that I've been back. And it feels really good.
Gosh. You've been all around doing so many things.
I jumped around.
That's so crazy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through these hot seat questions really quickly because some of them address some of the things you just said.
I have both of my cats sleeping
let's
me
see
right now, and it's pretty awesome. So we have like this dude over here. We got little Amelia.
Oh my God, hi Amelia.
She's just asleep right now. It's adorable. And then you've got Stella right here hanging out.
Hi Stella, I love you. I also have a cat. This is my cat, Wasabi.
Cats are just the best.
They are
Wasabi?
The best. Wasabi.
Oh, I love that name.
Black cat.
Oh my God.
He's
oh,
the
that's
spiciest
amazing.
little man. Really quickly, hot seat questions. Here we go.
Yes, let's do it. Let's
Finally.
do it.
First one, what is your earliest memory?
I was playing baseball with my dad, and I was like 2 years old at this, and I was like batting, and I remember I accidentally stood in an anthill. And like my dad had to like grab me, and I had all these red ants running at me, and then like they threw me in a bathtub. So it's like pieces of a memory, but that's like my earliest memory.
Whoa, that is a crazy first memory. Oh my gosh.
Funny you brought that up. Like I talked to my therapist about that recently. Like so I was like, yeah, that's like my earliest memory.
A lot of earliest memories are like actually pretty traumatic memories because it's like it made such an impact on you at such a young age, and
that you shouldn't remember things.
No, literally. But like that's crazy that you're just like, yep, I remember all the red ants and they attacked me.
I remember being annoyed and then being like afraid of them.
Yeah.
And then like I've never had a good relationship with ants ever since.
I mean, that's fair. On a similar vein, when I was like 11 years old, I was not attacked. I went to a butterfly house and they started landing on me and I started freaking out. And so I now, to this day, have like a horrible fear of butterflies and like really hate when they start flying at me because I feel like they can sense my fear.
I completely understand. And I'm going to validate that. That's the scariest thing. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, next up, what is your relationship like with Chicago? The city of Chicago.
Oh, that's super cool. Now it's like, not that it wasn't before, just like before it was a place that I worked. And it took a long time for me to kind of like feel like I built a community there. And now it's like all love. Like whenever I go back to Chicago, I know where to go to eat. I have like my favorite spots. And then I have a bunch of friends now that work and live there. So I've always have someone to see. So like Chicago now is like very dear to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you ever
it's
go
another
before
city.
Chicago Fire?
Actually, yeah, to audition for college. Like when I auditioned for schools, I did like the unified auditions that they were held in
Yeah.
Chicago, and I remember like one of my first days on set too. Like we drove by the hotel, and I was like, dude, that's a weird like full circle thing that I auditioned for
Yeah.
colleges here, and then now I have like a full job as an actor here in the city.
Okay, next. Most memorable Shadowhunters line.
I think it was actually like meme. It's like season 1, like episode 2, when Simon gets mad at Jace and he's like, "Come at me, bro." Like I've seen that meme where someone's like, "Come at me, bro," and I'm like, that's. I would never have thought that would have been the one that I remember a lot, but I've seen
That's
it now,
the
so I'm
one.
like, oh yeah, yeah,
That's iconic. I love it.
yeah.
That's
It feels
perfect.
good.
It's also a good one that you can kind of use throughout. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
always
and now I'm like,
near
I
to your
should
heart.
use that meme more. I
Yeah.
gotta use it.
I feel
Yeah,
like you
it's
should
really
because
like a GIF.
yeah, you would actually probably gain a lot of traction if you just started like remaking that in different scenarios, just with different things, and just go
That's
viral.
a good
for that.
idea.
I think that'll be good. We'll talk. Okay,
I like that.
Next, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So for a long time, my dad was in the army, and he retired after like 37 years, a 2-star general. So for
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time when I was a kid, yeah, I thought I wanted to be in the army,
Oh my
and
goodness!
it wasn't until like this is how you know I loved like I watched too much TV. Like in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna be a JAG officer in the Navy.
Wait, are
Because
you
of the
kidding?
show
My
Jag.
dad's a lawyer for the Navy. My dad
No
was a lawyer
way.
for the Navy.
So
Yeah.
he gets to wear the awesome Navy whites.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yep.
yeah. Praise to him. That's like from as a kid when I used to like. So A Few Good Men was like one of my favorite movies.
Yes. Oh, great.
So
movie.
seeing Tom Cruise in the Navy whites, and then
So
also
good.
the TV show Jag being on, I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. But then it was like my mom. Actually, I was on a trip to Boston, and my mom like told me to look at like a, it was like JetBlue, so we all had a little TV screen. She's like,
Yeah.
there's an interview with an actor. You should check it out. And he was talking about that he joined the army when he was 18 because he thought it was a great career, but then he realized he only joined it because he wanted to act like he was in the army. Like he wanted to wear the uniforms and do the talk and have the cool lines, but like the day to day was miserable. And that like was like a lightning bolt for me. I was like, oh, I really actually hate boats, so I don't know why I'd want to be in the Navy. Besides, my dad's like, we're an Army family. Like, we have family in the Navy, but like,
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, so maybe I'll be in the Army? And I was like, no, I'm going to be an actor. And there was my mom that was really like, you do not want to be in the military.
You don't wanna do
and
this.
You do not want to be an attorney. And I was
Oh
like,
my!
oh,
Literally,
you're right, Mom.
that's
Yeah.
so funny. My dad would say that to us every single day. He would be like, "Don't join the military and don't be an attorney," because he was an attorney for the military, and like that's hilarious. I love that. That was also how your mom was like. She didn't sit you down and was like, "Listen, you're not going to do well in the military." She was like, "Oh my God, honey, look at this interview."
like, and also like, I remember I had, at the time I was like, I'm going to go to West Point. Like, cause if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go like 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to
Go big or
to
go
West
home.
Point. Then I'm going to like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I was like, then I'll have the Army pay for like my law school.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to go somewhere like, really prestigious. And then I was like, Mom, guess what I found out? In West Point, New York, there's a community theater. So I could do plays while I'm going to West Point. And my mom was like, no one
Baby.
goes to West Point to do plays. Like,
No, they don't have a
think you
theater
need to
program.
I think you need to consider this. And I was like, okay, I think you're right. I think it was funny that my mom was the one that was like, that's all right. I'm going to pull you down. I'm going to pop that
Oh
balloon
my
real
God.
fast.
When did you actually when did you like switch like, okay, I'm going to study acting now?
I think it was when I was like 15. Like I had been
wow.
like I'd done community theater and musicals, and it was one of the things like growing up in Florida, I played a lot of sports, and the point of time when sports started to become much more serious, I would always drop a sport to keep doing theater. My freshman year of high school, I was in this theater group that traveled around, and I got to work with kids that were just like so insanely talented and committed and knew things about theater and actors and acting that I'd never even heard of. So that was the first like spark of like, oh, this is really serious. This isn't just a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And then these kids knew things about movies and questions that I never even knew to ask. And I was just so obsessed that I think that was when that change happened. I was like 15 when I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Because I was ready to like dive in.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, pretty
We
cool.
love theater kids. We love theater kids. I was a theater major in college, and I was a
There we
bona
go.
fide theater kid from day one, A1 day one.
So
My
important.
first musical, I was 4 years old, and I was Pepper in 101
Oh my God.
Dalmatians. And Pride and Joy, I literally got a bunny and named him Pepper. And because it was such a defining moment in my life. And yeah, musical theater for life. Absolutely, 110%.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like you just learn, especially going into like later on, and you learn so many really important basic things that are hard to teach on a professional set. Like
Yeah.
in community theater, there were times when everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yep.
And you just kind of, you have an audience, so you're just like, all right, I'm 12, I'm just going to keep going. And but that spirit of like, this is how it, and you're with your friends, and then you all laugh about it after, that's so important, rather than it be like on a professional set where if things don't go right, like you have a role in that, and you have to be adaptable. I don't know, I think a lot of the things you learn in that period of time are so great.
Yeah.
It's so important.
No, I totally agree. And speaking of how things progress, how did you propose to your wife, Tessa?
Oh, this is actually a really cool story. So, I talked to my best friend Josh, who ended up like officiating our wedding. We still haven't had like our big wedding, but we had like our little like COVID wedding. So him and I made a plan where we were like playing video games all together, him, my wife, and I. And he was like, "Yo, do you guys want to go to Elefante tonight?"
I love Elefante.
I have a reservation, and I was like, "Oh, I know Tess, you've always wanted to eat there. Should we go?" And apparently, like, I'll keep going. So I was like, "That's great." And he's like, "Yeah, I have a reservation for 2, but we could easily make it 3." Da, da, da. All these things that Tessa later was like, I knew the whole time. Like 4 to 3, easy. 2 to 3 is weird. Like, if your friend had the reserve for him and a girl, why wouldn't you just go with them? Like, a bunch of different things, but we had planned this. We thought it was airtight. We went to Elefante.
She'll never know.
Yeah, honestly, now I'm like, that was just crazy. She knows. She always knows. But so we're at Elefante. It's at sunset, and if you've been, like, you've been there, so like the patio overlooks the beach anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, I really want to propose down by the water,
down there,
not at the restaurant, because I don't want everyone in the restaurant to be a part of this. So I was like, we should. And my friend and Tessa had just ordered drinks, and I was like, sunset's happening right now, and it's happening for the next 12 minutes. So like, so I was like, we should chug your drinks and let's go. Let's get out of here. So, and they're like these beautiful cocktails, right? So they were like, oh, okay. Tessa's a little weirded out. They both like chug their drinks. We get over to like, on Santa Monica, you can go down to the beach, or you can stay up where there's that nice walkway
the park
with the wooden fence.
Yeah.
So we stayed up there. I found a really nice spot. And then I remember giving my phone to my friend Josh, and then looking over at her and being like, all right, it's going to happen. And I look, and this tourist family comes and stands right in between Josh, who's videoing, and me and Tessa. And I'm like, so Tessa looks at me kind of, because I was about to say something.
She's like, what are you doing?
And I'm like trying to wait for these people to get out of the way. And I'm like, wow, it's a beautiful day. Look, is that Catalina? And she's like, we've lived here for years. Of course it's Catalina. Like, what are you talking about? We
all know that's Catalina Island.
And then I was like, then there's Malibu down that way. Then finally they leave, so I get down on the knee, and I like had a planned, not like plans, like I wrote it down, but I had planned what I was going to say.
Words.
Started my spiel. She was so excited, and at that point, because it's Santa Monica, people started to kind of, not a lot, but a small little gathering. And now I'm getting nervous, and I'm standing there with the ring, like on a knee, and she's like, "Oh my God, can I ask you something?" And I was like, "Yeah, I feel like you should say yes first, just because there are people watching, and I don't want it to feel." And she was like, "Oh my God, yes, like absolutely, yes." So I give her the ring, and she goes, "Now hold on." She stands me up. She gets down on a knee, roots into her purse, and proposes to me with the ring.
Stop!
And I was like, holy. Oh my, I was completely caught off guard. Like, she knew apparently the whole day that this was about to happen. I had no idea that she was going to propose to me at the same time. And we both talked about it. It was like the first day that we both had the ring and decided to bring it out. Like, I knew that I was going to propose, but she was like, I have a feeling I'm just going to bring this random purse that I never use. which I commented on. I was like, oh, I haven't seen this purse in a
Yeah.
long time. And I'm like shaking it around, and she's like, oh my God, he's
So she's like, no, it's just hand it back.
yeah, just give me back the purse. And then like little things like that, and it was just so special. So I actually had an engagement ring that she got me, and like it was just like the perfect, because I didn't know, and it was just so, I felt so chosen, and like it was just so sweet. Yeah, she's awesome.
I'm like literally tearing up. That's like the most beautiful story. It's also just like the serendipity of it all, of like, I also love that she proposed to you as well. Like, that's so sweet. And I always kind of was like, I've always wanted, I feel like, fiancés. I feel like men should have rings too. You deserve an engagement ring.
Yeah, also,
we all
like,
deserve engagement rings.
It was fun to wear and be like, that's right, I'm engaged.
I'm
like,
engaged, yeah.
Take him in. Like, this is great. Like, also, it's cool because now I have like another ring that's it's like silver and a little more stylish. So like, if I ever wanted to wear that, I can pop it out for like special occasion. And it was just also like, I feel like guys don't know. It felt so special because it's like even though I was insane, like I had no doubt she was gonna say yes. Like we talked about it. Like I knew that she was gonna say yes. It was still really. I was still really nervous. Like I was like, this is such a big moment. Like
it's a lot of pressure.
And then to have that done in response though, to have someone propose to you, you're like, oh, wow, yeah.
And it's not just them accepting you. It's like, it's fully them also asking like your consent to like, it's so mutual and so beautiful. And
and that's how we've always wanted our relationship to be. Like we're both 100% in. Like it's 100, so that like it just felt like such a perfect. I don't know. It was awesome.
I love that so much. Yeah. I'm so happy.
It was so great.
I think more people should know. You guys met on set. Can you tell us a little bit about like how that happened in your relationship there?
Yeah. We met on Shadowhunters in season 2. She was a character for Simon that like Simon ends up like killing her, but then we find out that she ends up becoming a vampire. So he ends up turning her into a vampire, and in the books that was a big character. So when they told me that they were, like, in the episode that Tessa was originally in, it was just like, oh, Simon, you ended this person's life. Like, that's really bad. And she was on set for 2 days. And the first day we just, like, talked the whole time like I had met my best friend. Like, it was super cool. At one point, I know, like, hair and makeup had made the comment. They're like, gosh, it's like no one else is in the room. And then we both were like, well, that's not very professional. And we, I was like, well, you can't be, like, flirting with people on set in this way. But it wasn't flirting. It was just like we had really cool conversations and we were just having a great time. And then I remember after she left, I was like, I have to get her phone number because she works one more day. I really I want to make sure I do that. And it was the second day she worked was last scene of the day. So I was like, perfect. We'll wrap. I'll get her phone number. Awesome. And then the story of that is like, it's a long one, but I got her phone number. My cat actually helped. I was like, you want to meet? My cat is in my trailer if you want to meet her. And then so I got her phone number. And then
wait, you bring your cat to your trailer? That's my favorite thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, on Shadowhunters, me and Dom Sherwood, we each got kittens from like together. So they were actual sisters. So we would bring them to set and leave them in our trailers, and they'd kind of be like emotional support kittens. We'd be like, yeah, if anyone wants to.
Me and my best friend did the same thing. We both got siblings. Oh my God.
Actually, the funny thing is we look back on it. The day we met is exactly like 6 years to the day that we ended up getting married. Yeah, full circle again.
just crying over the corner. Stop, that's so cute. Best advice for young actors.
Oh, that's a really good one. So it was once described to me as like pillars of learning, and there are 3. There is the reading and studying about something. There's the watching and then seeing what you've read in action. So by like going to plays, going to movies, watching street performers, going to live music, using the principles you're reading about, going and watching them. And then the third is doing them yourself. And I think for young actors especially, just try to build all of those pillars, make them as deep and as strong as you can. Read as much as you can, learn as much as you can, watch as much as you can, different genres, find out for yourself, like, oh, this is I really find myself watching more noir than anything, which is interesting. I must really like noir. And then go and do it yourself. Like, find a community theater. You can Google scripts online and get friends together, play characters, and then try to just make them, like, I don't know. I feel like the cool thing about our job is everyone finds a different way to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say trust that. And then one thing funny, I was talking about this earlier today, is like there's so much improvisation on set that you don't plan for, especially in TV where it's very by the numbers. We're trying to get 7 pages done today. Every word has been thought over by 10 writers, 2 producers. People have come in, don't change the words. And as an actor, you do all this prep to like plan for yourself. You're like, okay, this is where I think it's going to be. But then when you get on set, it's always different.
Yep.
And it's always new. And that's actually the best part, is that you can't really plan it. And I think that's something that if you could just yes and be more comfortable in that space, then you'll be set. Because it's all about just saying, oh, okay, I thought I was in a bathroom. I'm not. I'm actually in a kitchen. Not that changes, but that means I have to, like, what do people do in kitchens? Like, what, it's just things you haven't asked, but that spontaneity and that if you're in the right mindset, that yes and can feel really good. And I think that's also something to, like, embrace.
Besides your wife, who is your best friend that you've made on a set?
Oh, that's so interesting. Because, like, on Shadowhunters, like, Dom Sherwood and I got really close. He's one of my best friends to this day. On Chicago Fire, like, Daniel Kyrie, who played Ritter, who ended up being, like, Gallo's best friend, is, like, one of my closest friends now. Like, definitely one of my best friends. So I feel like on every set I've been lucky that I've met a couple of people that I'm like, oh, we're really cool now. And I think that's one of the best things about moving to different sets, too, is, like, you meet a whole new group of people. And it doesn't mean you're always going to meet a best friend, but, like, it's been nice so far.
Oh, yay. That's so good. Has there been any, like, were there a character that was you had on-screen tension with that, like, off-screen you guys were, like, actually buddies or anything like that, or vice versa, where you had to play nice with somebody who you actually really didn't get along with?
Thankfully not the latter, but the former, like Dom Sherwood and I, our characters were always in contention.
Yeah.
And that was, like, the funnest part for us because we were really good friends, so it was really fun to mess with each other on camera to the point where I know that not that they didn't write as much, but they planned for our scenes to be like, guys, this can't take too much longer than this. And we're like, okay, we know we have to make the day. At the same time, we have a lot of fun together. So,
I love
so it's
that.
fun. I actually think it's more fun to play enemies when you're friends.
Yeah. No, I feel like that also might be true because then you can really get into it and, like, know that afterwards there's going to be no hard feelings and, like, not have to be
The best part is you get to go and be like, yo, let's get a beer.
Yeah, exactly. You're
fun.
like, haha, sorry I just stabbed you, LOL.
Exactly.
I love that. If you had to live in a country other than the United States, where would it be?
Canada.
Ooh, why?
Hands down, I just spent a month, like, Tessa's from East Coast Canada, she's Prince Edward Island. I just spent a month there. I love it there. If I could, I would live there. It's just insanely beautiful. The people are nice. I've met a lot of Canadians. They're all really great. I'd love to be there. Especially PEI. Nice people. It's one of the places where people still, like, stop by your house just to say hi, like in, like, 1950s movies. And every morning we were there in the summer. It's a really agricultural province. They have a lot of farming and a lot of, like, their quality of their produce is amazing. So every morning, Tessa's uncle was dropping off from his father's farm Swiss chard, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis that were literally, like, they wouldn't fit in frame right now. Like, we had so many fresh vegetables we couldn't cook enough. Like, we were like, how are we going to eat all this? Not to mention, like, my mother-in-law has a beautiful little garden that every morning I was, like, picking tomatoes.
That's the best. Mm-hmm. My mom too.
Yeah, PEI is just hands down. If I could live anywhere, I'd be there.
I gotta go. All right, we'll make a trip happen. It's gonna be amazing. All right, this is the last question I have on my hot seat questions. What is your secret talent?
I have no idea. Secret talent,
like party trick, like things that the general public maybe doesn't know about. That, like, you're like, you know what? If I could be famous for one other thing other than acting, it should be my milk snorting abilities. I don't know.
That's a good. I have no idea. I feel like this is all I got. Like,
stop! I don't believe that. What's like a hobby of yours other than acting that you're really passionate about?
Well, that's not good because I'm terrible at it. It's just for some reason I have this Sisyphusian need to like keep playing golf, but I'm not good at it.
Love golf.
I suck at it. I know the other day I was at like one of the farmers markets in PEI and I started like juggling. And Tessa was like, "You can juggle?" And I'm like, "We've been together for like 8 years. You didn't know I could juggle?"
You haven't been juggling on your spare time?
Yeah, I guess I haven't been juggling, but yeah, that's something I can do. I learned how to do it in like
you know
third
what?
grade.
I feel like that's a good secret talent that even your wife didn't know. Your wife, and I can't juggle. Lots of people can't juggle.
Really easy, believe it or not. Except start with like tissues instead of something like really heavy, because they take forever to float down. So then you can practice just like the hand motions with tissues until you're like, oh, it's across. Oh, okay, and then you can switch to like tennis balls and then eggs if you want to.
Whoa, this has been game changing. All right,
you're welcome.
Next episode, we're going to be learning how to juggle tissues. Everybody, get excited.
Yeah, next podcast.
Next podcast, get pumped. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, do you have anything nearby that you could juggle for us right now? Wait, yeah, mixing your two secret talents. Yeah. Oh my god!
Yeah,
you're so good. Whoa! Oh my god, everybody. Iconic, incredible. Wow. Somebody hire him. He has so much more. So much more to give. Wow. Last thing of the episode, we're trying to institute a new segment. This is more for you. Your Roman Empire. Do you have something that to you is your personal Roman Empire? Like you could make a conspiracy board for and like just talk about, like you've spent too much time researching like a random subject. Like I would say like something I could make a conspiracy board for is like all of Taylor Swift's past relationships and how they relate to her music.
Oh my god. Okay. Hold on. Tess, what would you consider my Roman Empire? Like, what could I talk about forever that's like weird that I know a lot about? Watches?
Watches.
Yeah, I'm a big watch guy. I like watches a lot. And
oh my god.
I don't know why. I've always like worn a watch since I was a little kid. Like there are pictures of me at like the age of 1 wearing like a Mickey Mouse watch.
Watch King. So wait, if I timed you for a minute, could you give us all like speed run all of your best information on watches?
Yeah, I could try.
Let's do it.
Am I starting
all
now?
right.
Okay.
Go.
Well, I'll just go through my collection because I thought my collection's pretty cool. I have a few pieces that I'm really excited about, mostly because of the story of watches, and that's what I think is really cool about them. It's how they wear your time, and especially when you get into mechanical watches that aren't super exact, like quartz watches or ones that have a battery that are perfect. Mechanical watches start to lose time and give time throughout the day, and that's why the better ones tend to lose less time. But I love the idea that when someone gives you a watch, they're giving you the time that they've worn. They're like, hey, my dad gave me the watch that he wore in Afghanistan. And that's like, God. In terms of price, it's not expensive, but it's my favorite watch because I was like, wow, he wore this every day as a battalion commander at war. Like, that's a huge deal. Whereas the other watches I have are meant to like represent things. Like the first year that I did, where I kind of like traveled around the world for work, I bought a specific watch. It's called the GMT that was originally made in the 50s for Pan Am pilots because they were the first pilots going like intercontinental. So they needed to be able to tell more than one time zone. So I have that watch that's from that, not from that time, but it's made because of that need. I have like the moon watch, the watch that was worn on the moon. It was in the late 60s, NASA needed a watch that their astronauts could wear and still keep perfect time. So they invented the Omega Speedmaster. So I got that watch because it was I forgot what was the reason to buy that one, but I was like, this is just, the story behind this watch is so cool.
You're
and
like, I could go to the moon
to use it.
And
yeah, they
wear
needed to use it for 14 exact seconds, or else they would like run out of they would go out of orbit and die. So they literally used that watch, and it's perfect, like, timekeeping to be like, all right, push the button, we're in, we did it, we survived. Like,
wow,
cool watch. So I feel like watches have this
crazy.
Yeah, there's this whole thing about like I think it's so special when someone gets a watch passed on, because it's like, my time's going to continue now through you. And,
I never thought
or
of it
this
that
time in
way.
my life was so important. I want you to think about that. Like,
It's the
when
time
you're
of
like,
your life.
that's why kids are given watches like when they graduate high school, no matter the price, like saying, hey, what you did, that was your time. Like, now you're an adult now. Like, this is your time. Like, you get to make every decision for yourself, and like, give this watch a story, and then you can pass it on.
You're making me tear up so much today, Alberto.
That's my Roman Empire. I can talk about
I
watches.
love that. That's a great Roman Empire. We already passed on time, and I turned off the timer, so that was incredible. Incredible work. Just
Thank you.
10 out of 10. This has been such an amazing interview. You are so lovely.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
you so
I've had
dearly.
so much fun. Yeah.
This has been amazing. I just
awesome.
really appreciate you. You are amazing. You are so talented and so lovely, and I just can't thank you enough. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I was honored. So.
Oh, you're the best.
Easy.
Amazing. Well, everybody, go follow Alberto and go watch all of his stuff. It'll all be linked down below. We love it. We love him. And thank you so much again. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you, Alberto.
We'll talk soon. Absolutely.
Bye. Are you PMSing?